In this section of notes, we're going to look at more about how to go about designing a good experiment. So there's a few things we need to do in order to have a good experiment, and there's a few basic principles. The first is that we need to have comparisons. We need to have two or more treatments. Now, one of those treatments could be a placebo or a control, but if you don't have something to compare your results to, then you can't say if something worked or if it didn't work. The next thing you need to have is random assignment. You want to assign your participants to one of your treatments at random because that is what's going to allow you to say that those groups were roughly equivalent, and then that way we can say that it's more likely that the treatment caused some result. You definitely want to have a control. Your control is keeping all of the other variables as consistent as possible. A lot of that happens by doing the random assignment and also by having possibly a placebo could be in there that would help with controlling other variables like the placebo effect. And replication is really important. You just want to have enough people in each of your groups so that whatever's results you see, you can say that it's not just a fluke. It didn't just happen for one person, it happened for lots of people. So we're going to look at one example. It's called a completely randomized design. This is the most basic experiment that you can do. So you'll start with all of your experimental units, and then you will randomly assign them into two or more groups. So maybe you could have a third group. So maybe you would have like a high dose of a medicine, a low dose of a medicine, and then a placebo. Could be three groups. But for now, we'll just say let's start with two groups. And then we give them the two treatments. So maybe treatment one is a new medication that you're testing, and treatment two is a placebo. And then when you're done, you go and you look at how the experimental units responded differently. Did one group have better results than another? That's what you're kind of hoping to see here. So there are some things that could go wrong when you do an experiment, and one of those is the placebo effect. If people think that they're going to get better, they might just get better. So you don't want people to know whether or not they're getting the actual treatment, and the way you do that is by blinding. So there's double blind and single blind. There's two groups of people that can be blinded. The first is the group of subjects, so the people that are getting the treatments. And the other one is the evaluators, the people who are judging how well the treatment worked. If one of those two groups doesn't know who is getting which treatment, then that's single blind. If both of those groups don't know who is getting which treatment, then that's double blind.